January 15, 1919, Boston, 12:30 p.m. A tank holding 3 million gallons of industrial molasses exploded and sent a wave 25 feet high through the streets at 35 miles per hour. 21 people died. The 18th Amendment prohibition was ratified the next day. This is the sweetest industrial disaster in American history. It was not sweet. To understand why 3 million gallons of molasses hit a Boston street at 35 miles per hour, you need to understand why that much molasses was in Boston at all. World War I, ethanol, munitions. Molasses can be fermented into ethanol, the active ingredient in explosives, and in 1915, the United States Industrial Alcohol Company was making significant money supplying that ethanol to arms manufacturers in the US, England, and France. They needed storage, they needed it fast, they built it fast. The Purity Distilling Company tank went up in 1915 at 529 Commercial Street in Boston's densely populated North End, a neighborhood of immigrant workers, families, and small businesses packed into the old waterfront district. The tank stood 50 feet tall, 90 feet in diameter, capable of holding 3 million gallons of molasses arriving by ship from Cuba, Puerto Rico, and the West Indies. From the very beginning, the tank leaked. Open loop 2. Who built this tank? The answer is coming, and it is worse than you expect. Meme Sting, built in 1915 by a company that needed molasses fast and fast, meant no questions about the steel. Payoff on loop 2. Arthur Gell, USIA treasurer, the man assigned to oversee construction of a 50-foot 3 million gallon industrial tank in one of the most densely populated urban neighborhoods in New England. Gell had no architectural experience, no engineering experience, no technical training of any kind. An inquiry after the disaster revealed that he had failed to conduct basic safety tests, such as simply filling the tank with water to check for leaks, before filling it with 13,000 tons of molasses. He ignored warning signs specifically, the audible groaning noises the tank made each time it was filled as the steel walls bent under cyclical load. The 2014 engineering analysis conducted, crucially, after the fact determined the steel was approximately half as thick as it should have been for a structure of the tank's dimensions. This is not a close call. Half the thickness. An engineer running basic calculations in 1915 would have caught this. There was no engineer running basic calculations in 1915. When the tank leaked, and it leaked constantly, from early in its operational life, Gell's solution was not to repair the structure or commission an assessment. His solution was to paint the entire tank the color of molasses, so the oozing molasses running down the outside would not be visible. The people of Boston's North End knew the tank leaked. They had known for years. Local residents collected the runoff for household use. Children brought buckets. The molasses seeped steadily enough from the tank seems that it had become, for the neighborhood, a minor ambient resource, a free condiment courtesy of USIA structural negligence. And the groaning. The tank groaned audibly when filled. This is not a subtle engineering signal. A 50-foot steel structure, emitting warning sounds loud enough to be heard by people standing outside it, is communicating something specific about its structural state. Multiple employees raised safety concerns. The concerns were noted and set aside. Profits from the war were coming in steadily. The ethanol orders kept arriving. USIA was also, per multiple historical sources, attempting to stockpile molasses before prohibition made the fermentation business legally complicated. The 18th Amendment would be ratified on January 16, 1919, the day after the disaster. One day, they were racing a constitutional amendment with a tank that groaned and wept molasses and had been painted brown to hide the evidence. On January 13, 1919, 2 days before the disaster, a ship from Puerto Rico delivered a large, fresh shipment of warm Caribbean molasses to the tank. Meme Sting. The tank was full, the steel was wrong, the walls were groaning, and the prohibition deadline was tomorrow. Everything was fine. January 15, 1919. Unusually warm for Boston, and winter temperatures had risen above 40 degrees Fahrenheit after weeks of